Here's one simple trick to increase punching power that everyone should know. It doesn't matter what martial art you practice. What you need to know is that power comes from the ground. Get this right and you can deliver knockout punches or strikes in seconds, regardless of how small you are. Today, we're going to look at a not so obvious way that some of the top fighters in MMA, boxing and Thai boxing harness power. I call it the Shockwave technique. Dan Henderson used it to great effect. In fact, there are many others, but Henderson's power application was lethal. The Shockwave is a legit fighting technique and it can make all the difference in how you punch harder and faster. So stick with the breakdown and we'll drill down to the exact movement that can make all the difference in developing that knockout punch. We'll transform your fight game with this slight tweak to your technique. Before we look at the simple details of the Shockwave, I'll need to unpack what I mean by power comes from the ground. I'll draw upon a short clip borrowed from ESPN Sports Science to help explain power generation. I'll put a link in the description to the original video, but my intention is to extend their analysis as I think they missed a small detail that relates to the Shockwave.
When initiating a left-handed strike, McGregor typically puts about 80% of his weight on his back foot. Then, using his front leg as a fulcrum, he propels himself into his target with as much rotational velocity as an MLB pitcher rocketing a fastball. The result is a punch that consistently packs nearly 850 pounds of force.
Now they missed an important but significant detail which I'll explain at the end of this video. But first, let's explain what power from the ground means. Regardless of the martial art that you train, there's a popular saying, power comes from the ground. This could suggest that the harder the ground, the better your impact when punching a person. However, when we say power comes from the ground, we're specifically referring to the development of power from the legs. By legs, I'm referring specifically to the quads and the calf muscles. Mark Hunt is a classic example of a former kickboxer, now MMA fighter, that utilises power from the ground. Take a closer look at the size of his quads and his calf muscles. These are great drivers and he uses them to great effect. Also notable for using their leg drivers to great effect, Anthony Rumble Johnson. The power of your legs is something that should be ingrained into anybody ever wanting to learn how to use their body in a powerful way. Because your legs are connected to the ground, they're the most responsible for pushing off the ground to generate power throughout your body, which is why proper boxing punches are typically thrown with the legs pivoting and rotating. It's simple body mechanics. The more you recruit your legs into driving your punch, even your movement, then the more power you're likely to achieve overall. Now here's the magic technique, the golden ticket of information. Once you can recruit your legs into the delivery of the punch, the next step is to increase the kinetic driver between the punch and the ground. It's as simple as stamping on the ground. Watch how Dan Henderson lifts his foot to throw a punch. It's a good example of using this technique. This is a form of kinetic driver to the punch. It delivers a lot of power as a result of the feedback from the stamp. The simplest way of explaining this effect is that you're recruiting a shockwave from the stamp on the ground that reverberates through the body. It's an extra kick to the power generation from the ground. Next time you're sparring or hitting the heavy bag, try timing your foot stamping on the ground with landing of the punch. To return to the sports science clip, they missed the crucial detail that McGregor actually lifts his foot off the ground when he punches. So he leans back, rocks forward and stamps his foot on the ground to complete his punch. That's a shockwave effect that adds extra power to his punch. Thanks for watching.